On the injury front here, Joey Blunt's going to go to IR. He'll be done for the year. And then we're battling a couple nicks and bruises, but we'll kind of evaluate as the week goes here. Obviously, home opener versus Carolina, week 2, so we're obviously on to them right now. I don't live in the past, but if you look back at that game last year, we did not play our brand of ball. So that was talked about. And they're a good football team coming here. They got some premium players. They're hard to defend, so we got our work cut out for us. So I'm going to need to do a good job all week. What do we got?
With Joey, is it a concussion or?
Neck.
Where's the first place you kind of go after finding out about a season injury for a guy like Joey who had such a huge role in special teams?
Yeah, captain too. It's tough. It's part of the game, but it never gets easy. Some guys are going to have to step up and assume his role. You know what I mean? But I feel good about it. Some guys will, he played a lot. He wore a lot of hats on game day, so we're going to have to figure that out. But guys are ready to assume the role and step in and play well.
Coach, what kind of problems do the Panthers present, just in terms of their offense, defense?
Well, offensively, their quarterback's a good player, and he can beat you with his arm and his legs. They got a couple good skill guys, and their O-line is really good, really good. They play to their numbers. There's no doubt about that. Robert Hunt's one of the best in the world, in my opinion. Hubbard's a good back. He's tough to tackle. They drafted the kid from Arizona. We liked him a lot. He's a big guy, good route runner, contested catches, and it starts with the quarterback. He can dice you up, and if you don't rush him the right way, he makes you pay with his legs. He's got really good escape mobility, and can beat you with his arm and his legs. So that's a big time challenge for us. Defensively, they got some new guys over there. Obviously a premier corner who I have a high opinion of, a premier defensive tackle who did not play versus us last year. He's back, train wreck in the game. They got some rushers. They signed the kid from L.A. He's running the show. In the middle there is a really good player. They signed a safety that's a good player from Vegas. And they got a good scheme. So we got our work cut out for us. It's the NFL, week 2.
You mentioned obviously Bryce can move around. You mentioned the other day about how you wanted to wish you would have done a little bit better on Rattler getting outside. Obviously, Kyler's game in a lot of ways is based on that. It seems like a lot of quarterbacks can do that now, but is that just something defensively that you just have to make sure that you're good at these days, and maybe you wouldn't have been once upon a time in the NFL where these guys can make all these plays if that pass play doesn't
Yeah,
miss?
that's what I see. I kind of alluded to that there, and I don't know when, but talking about Spencer, and obviously now week 2 we're playing a guy that can beat you with his legs. It does seem like it's a little more prevalent now, than back in the day, pure pocket passers, but it does make it hard to defend. You got to have different tools, and we got to be very aware of how he moves, and you got to have vision on him. It's a tough challenge for us. There's no doubt.
You mentioned talking to the guys about last year's game against Carolina. I know you don't typically like to look in the past. Yeah. What was it about that game that made you feel like it needed to do
Well, we didn't stop the run, and we lost the takeaway battle and got beat. So you don't do that, you're going to lose. So it was very clear to our guys why we lost that game, and just revisit it because they got a lot of players. Hubbard went for 152 versus us last year. Like, you're not going to win.
One more quick thing on the mobile quarterbacks. I mean, again, that's a big part of Kyler's game. As a team, do you almost feel like you need a quarterback that can have that second thing, or?
I don't know. Yeah.
Did you guys take advantage of McMillan being a local kid and you kind of getting an opportunity to bring him in the pre-draft, or was it just something you liked from his tape?
I thought his tape was really good, and he showed it week 1 too.
How much can you take from that last year's matchup against the Panthers, given it's a new year? And
they got the same. They got different players, but the same coaching staff. You know what I mean? Schematically, they did some good things, I thought. So you turn over every stone. So a little bit. We're not living in that, but obviously the Jacksonville game we looked at pretty good, and it's still week 2, so there's going to be some unscouted things both sides. you know, the other thing too, I told our guys, there's some things that we have to do a lot better in all three phases in a hurry. So I got my eye on that too. So they know those things that they're aware of, what we got to do a better job of going from week 1 to week 2, regardless of your opponent, just to play better football, to give us a better chance to win. So we got to correct those things on the practice field these next 3 days.
We've obviously asked a lot about Will Johnson. What about Max Mellon? What did he show you?
Played really well at the point of attack. He was really good. I thought his eyes were good most of the day. Technique was pretty good most of the day. He made a bunch of plays for us. You know, showed some resilience. He had the one ball caught on him in the first drive in the third quarter, and then kind of shut his guy down the rest of the day. So I thought he played well.
What does it do for your defense if your two starting outside corners can continue to have big games like that?
Well, you know, if they're making more plays than not, that's typically good for you. You know, they're going to get challenged in different calls that we're playing. But, you know, I think you need high-level play from everybody out there. Specifically, good question, Teo, specifically those two guys, hopefully they can deny the ball when they need to and take away first look, and that gives the rush a tick of time to get to it.
Coach, how much of a jump does a team typically take from week 1 to week 2?
Hopefully a big one. Hope's not a good plan, though, huh? We need to. You know, that's a good question, Craig. Like I said, like you're playing a new opponent. It's still early in the year, so you got all that going on. But I think we need to take a jump this week. You know, all three phases, individuals, coaches, everybody. You know, so we got to do a better job. You know, the rust is kind of off now. Let's get going.
You talk about keeping the process the same, win or lose, but like, do you have to emphasize maybe accountability for mistakes more so after a win than maybe a loss?
Kind of our process is a process, Bo. You know, we show the good, the bad, and the ugly after wins and losses. You know, we kind of just stick to that.
With Joey out for the year, does Greg move into that role now?
We got a couple guys, you know, that can do it that we feel good about, but there's no doubt that his roles on game day are going to have to be absorbed by multiple people.
What did Rabbit show you kind of jumping into a bigger role, and what do you hope that he can do for you here in year 2?
Kind of play how he played, you know. I do think he's a ball guy. I do think he can turn the ball over. So waiting to see that when he gets some opportunities, but he was in the right spots. He played fast. He played violent. He tackled well, covered well. I thought he had a good game.
What has Baron Browning given you now that, you know, maybe, you know, when he first arrived middle of last season, maybe it's been a process. Where is he now?
I think he's a better football player. He understands the defense better. Obviously, he's a smart guy, so I'm not saying he didn't understand, but just the knowing everything that's going on, what we were looking for him. And now being able to deploy him in some different spots because he is comfortable with his first job. That's he's kind of a chess piece that we can use if we need to.